Good morning, everybody. Sorry I'm running slightly late. I did say I would start at 10 UK time, 11 Swiss time, and I've just been discussing healing with a very, very dear friend and sending some healing across Switzerland and across France. Good morning, Gan. So welcome aboard this morning. I'm having a bad hair day here. My hair's just decided to do whatever it's going to do this morning, so I give up. So I want to focus on communication and friendship this morning. I want to focus on community spirit and how we can be our own best friend and how we can be better friends with other people. Morning, Sarah. So welcome aboard. I hope you've had a nice sleep. Morning, Sue. I hope you're all coping with everything. It's gone a lot cooler here in Geneva today. It's actually quite cold. So I don't know what it's like in the UK. We're not that far away from one another one way or another. So I hope you're all okay. As I say, I hope you slept well. I hope you had some pleasant dreams. And I'm just wondering what you've got in store for today. So I want you to think about communication and friendships. And sometimes it's a really good idea to think about our own best friend. We all have a best friend. I know I'm very, very lucky to be friends with Julie, who I've known for nearly 30 years. And she knows me very well. And Julie once said to me, show me a man and show me his best friend, and I'll tell you everything about the man. And of course, our vibe, our vibration attracts our tribe. So when we have people around us that are positive, of course, that's because we've attracted those people. Good morning, Tara. Your sound meditation was lovely the other night. Thank you. Good morning, Annette. So when we look at our best friend, what are the 7 qualities of our best friend? Are they fun? Are they happy? Are they positive? Do they look out for us? Are they there for us? Because we all need each other at the moment. If one thing's for sure, we all need each other at the moment. So I want you to just take a moment you can close your eyes, put your hands on your heart if you want, but just take a moment to think about the qualities of your best friend. Why do you love them so much? Why are you drawn together? Julie and I love going walking together. We love sharing a meal together. Either she cooks or I cook, or we go out. We love sharing a cup of Lady Grey because we both drink it exactly the same. No sugar, very weak, and Julie has a little bit of milk sometimes. Excuse me. We just love sharing. We love listening to one another. We love sharing stories about our children, about our grandchildren. We love the spiritual aspect of things and the connection to God. Morning, Jackie. So think about your best friend. What are their qualities, and what of those qualities? Morning, Tasha. We must catch up. I will private message you. I meant to do it yesterday, and it was just crazy busy. I can't believe we're on quarantine and self-containment. And goodness me, yesterday it was wonderful. I spoke to my sister-in-law, and I spoke to my friend Daniel, and I spoke to my son-in-law, and it's just beautiful, isn't it? This is bringing a real camaraderie. So it's celebration, So think about what you celebrate with your closest friend, or maybe you're in a group of friends. And maybe there are some of you out there who don't feel that you have any good friends. Maybe you feel that you've lost touch with someone. Well, now's a perfect time to get back in touch. I've just been talking to a very, very dear friend about the fact that there's no separation now. It doesn't matter whether you're rich, poor, masculine, feminine, old, young. We're all in this together, It doesn't matter what country we're in, we're all in it together. And I genuinely hope that when we come out of this, there will be more communion, more connection, deepened friendships, because I know for a fact, obviously many of you know, I've been travelling, I've been out of the UK since January last year. And I was very lucky that I've managed to keep in touch with, most of my friends, most of you through Facebook, thank goodness for WhatsApp, social media. And that's always been a blessing from the time when my son Matthew went to Australia, and obviously when Phil went out there to join him as well, So who is it that you would like to get in touch with today? Who is it that you would love to share a hug with? Who is it who you would love to share a meal with or have that conversation with? And maybe it's someone who's passed away, in meditation, through using your powers of visualization. You can visualize that you're with that person anyway. It makes no difference. There is no separation. There's the golden thread. So just take a moment. I don't know if any of you have got pen and paper handy. Obviously, you can watch this video again if you haven't. But just take a moment to think about the qualities of your best friend. What are their outstanding qualities? Are they a real friend? Or are they just someone who just whinges all the time? What kind of people, morning Louise, what kind of people are you attracting into your life? Because your vibe attracts your tribe. Morning Janet. So the more we get to know ourselves, when we talk about enlightenment, when we talk about the Buddhist theories, Buddhism isn't a religion, it's a way of life. But it's just about heart-centered living. You can look at the philosophy of Buddhism. It's very, very simple. Treat other people as you want to be treated. It's what Christ said. It's what most of the religious leaders say anyway. But irrespective of that, what I'm trying to get across is, how heart-centered are you? How heart-centered are your friends? Do you need to be more heart-centered? Many, many people think that being heart-centered means you're a big softie and, it's all the slushy-mushy, lovey-dovey stuff. Being heart-centered can mean that you can actually have very, very firm barriers and boundaries. Because how many of us have children? If we don't have barriers and boundaries with children, they'll run ragged. They will run us ragged. They will just carrying on. They will throw temper tantrums. They will not have any switch-off points. All of you know when you're driving, you have to brake at some point. We all need to rest. We all need to sleep, So there are times in our life when we need to slow down. I want you to think about the 7 qualities of your best friend. Morning, Alison. This is my gorgeous daughter-in-law, who I adore, with my beautiful granddaughters. Morning, Ali. So think about your best friend. What are their qualities? It may be that your best friend is a sister, or maybe your best friend is your mum or an auntie or a neighbour. It can be anybody. It can be somebody who's, a different age to you. Morning, Helen. So, morning, Susan. Think about your best friend. What qualities have they got? Have they got a sense of humour? Are they a good listener? Maybe are they a good cook? What is it that you love sharing with them? Morning, Hazel. Maybe you go and share a picnic in the park. Maybe you share nature walks. Maybe if you do reflexology or massage, one can do reflexology, one can do massage for the other one. Morning, Lisa. So, there's a lot that you can look at when you think about your best friend. And write down, if you can, whether you've got pen or paper handy, write down the 7 qualities, at least 7 qualities of your best friend. And when you look at those 7 qualities of your best friend, then look at yourself. What are your best qualities? It's taken me a long, long time to accept who I am. When I brought up the children, I was a complete stress head. I was working 37, 40 hours a week. I was knackered. Was I my own best friend? No, because I didn't have any concept of the fact that I needed to be my own best friend. I didn't even think I was in the equation. I was just busy with the children all the time. Morning, Yolanta. Lovely to have you on board. So, think about how you can be your own best friend. Do you even think about yourself? We're all given time to think for now, for sure. Morning, Brenda. Brenda does a lot of talks on positive mental attitude, and I know she's changed her life. And I know many of you have. And many of you have started at least to embrace being your own best friend. Many of you may well have a dog that's your own best friend. There's no rights or wrongs here. A very dear friend of mine, her horse is her best friend. She loves her husband, but the horse is the best friend, and it's okay. It's fine. Every one of us on here are individual, but we all have the need for connection. We need to be connected to ourselves, and some of us like to be connected to other people. So, welcome aboard. Good morning to all of you. It may be evening. I know Lisa's tuning in from Australia. I know some of you are tuning in from London, from Lancashire. Some of you may be tuning in from France or Switzerland because we're very, very close to the border here. So welcome aboard wherever you are. Morning, dawn. Excuse me. So, in the usual way, in the usual tradition that I do, I have a pack of Dare to Dream cards, they're called. They're absolutely amazing. And I picked one earlier, so I will read. Here we go. To create the life you've always dreamed of, you must take 100% responsibility for your life. You can no longer cling to excuses, blame others, or play the victim. You have to give up all of your reasons why you cannot or have not done something up to now. You have always had the power to affect, change, and fulfill your potential. Your life is your own. Take ownership of it today. That's a really interesting thought. For me, for years, I didn't know that I had personal responsibility for myself. I just focused on the kids and whinged about everything else, and nothing was my fault. It was a crazy way to be. So when we start taking personal responsibility, is it easy? No. Does it suck? Yeah. Do we need to change? Yeah. So often we only change from a time of desperation or a realization that we need to change. And one tiny step, and I promise you, one tiny step. Morning, Simon. One tiny step will change everything. Because as you make one baby step, then you're going to make another one, We have patience with our children when they're learning to walk, when they're learning to talk, when they're learning to sit, when they're learning to eat. We need to extend that same patience to ourselves. Did I have patience with my kids? Sometimes, when I was not too tired. Sometimes I could be short, and I apologise hand on heart for that. But you know what? None of us are perfect. We all get stressed. We all suffer when we have a bad night's sleep with them. We're all human. And if we allowed ourselves to be vulnerable, if we allowed ourselves to realise that we're not strong all the time, none of us are. That's complete BS. We're just who we are. We're doing the best. Every one of us on here does the best with what we've got. Whether we make a good job of it or not, whether somebody judges us for that. But I'm sure that you'll agree, the person who judges us the most, there you are, is yourself. And I berated myself, belittled and condescended myself so often in the past. And I'm just being honest with you. Morning, Karen. Lovely to see you and connect. So, we should be our own best friend. Most of the time we end up being our own worst enemy. And I always remember many years ago, a very beautiful friend of mine said to me, "You know what, Mary? You don't judge anybody." And he said, "You don't judge me." And I said, "Well, you know what? I spent years wasting time judging myself." Well, was it wasted? It was a learning, I guess. But how many times during the day, and especially now when we're given time to be in our own space, where we're given time to reflect on our own space, how many times do you judge yourself through the day? How many times does your ego mind, does the monkey mind, give you the grief. You're not good enough. You shouldn't be doing that. You should be earning more money. You should have done that when you were a child. You should have qualified in that by now. Why did you give that course up? Why did that relationship fail? But when we actually really do genuinely and with compassion and unconditional love, when we step out of our story, because I lived in my story for years, when we step out of the story, then we start bringing in our own power. And that's not saying power in an egocentric way. That's saying power in a very, very, very genuine way. And all of you deserve to stand in your power. And what that means is that you will fulfill your natural potential. So if you're an artist, you can be a better artist. If you're a writer, you can start the book you've maybe always wanted to start. If you're a gardener, then maybe you can make the garden into the ideal garden that you want it to be. So think for a few moments about your own best friend. What would your best friend say to you right now? How can you be your own best friend? How is it that we encourage our children and we need to encourage ourselves? Think about your strengths of your best friend. It may be that your best friend has come through a bereavement or a challenge or a change, or maybe they've studied at night school and stuck to something. Maybe they've managed to renovate or convert the house. And we all deserve a pat on the back. Morning, Juanita. So I don't know if it's a British thing, I've said this before, whether we just condescend and belittle things, whether we whinge about things, So think about the things that you have to celebrate in life and focus on that. If you look, there's a beautiful book by Joseph Murphy, The Power of the Subconscious Mind. Our whole society, certainly in England, is geared to focusing on the negative. Maybe that's because we've got karma to resolve. Whether you believe in karma or not is irrelevant. But, we just tend to, even when I've been away, even when I've worked with many different cultures, we just tend to focus on the negative. Maybe focus on the negative in ourselves and focus on the negative in others. But just imagine a world. Morning, Master Luckman. Master Luckman's from Bali, or maybe you're in Java or Jakarta. So focus on the positive. Just take one day out of the week. Take 1 hour out of the day. Take half an hour out of the day. Take 30 minutes out of the day, where all you are allowed to do is focus on the positive. You are not allowed for one day, or for an hour, or for half an hour, to say anything negative. And if your monkey mind starts saying something negative to you, just send it love. And how would that be? What a different world it would be. But when we start looking at our thoughts, I said to you before, different day. Hi, my granddaughters are watching, so I'm going to say a big hi and send a big hug to Evie Bobs and Rosie Bobs and little Phoebe, who usually just, oh my goodness, they just usually melt me. So yeah, I know my granddaughter Lavender and the other girls were watching last night, so it's an absolute joy to be on here. I can't believe I had so much fear before I embraced modern technology, and my son Nick will tell you how many times he's wanted to probably sit on me or, squish me or strangle me because he's been so frustrated when I've been trying to sort out my mobile phone. Morning, Jan, as well. So think about how positive you could be if you didn't whinge for one day, if you weren't allowed to moan about somebody or something, or your job or the government or this virus that's, put the world on its backside at the moment. Think about all those things. How different would your world be? All of us at some point have, had to have words with somebody else. Maybe a relationship, maybe someone you've had to work with. think about those words. Were they harsh? Were they kind? Was it really necessary? When have you been harsh or unkind to yourself? Because if anybody got inside your brain and heard the belittling comments that your ego mind gives yourself, not maybe all through the day, but at some point through the day, just imagine you could change that. This is going to be a period of change. None of us know what's on the other side of this. We don't know how long we're going to be in isolation for. Let's hope it's not too long, please. But let's focus on the positive. I'm sure all of you have got a roof over your head, a clean bed, dry linen, a clean towel, fresh clothes, toothbrush, toothpaste. We won't get into the toilet roll and do a count of how many toilet rolls you've got, I do hope you have got toilet roll or tissues, for goodness sake, or fresh water. Because in India and Bali, they don't use toilet roll anyway. They just use water. So where is it that you in your life can be more friendly to yourself, more kind to yourself, and more kind to other people? How can you make one baby step today? Maybe you're going to make 2, maybe you're going to make 3. How can you think about a way that you can make another baby step tomorrow, maybe? It's a choice. Everything is a choice. And if you find yourself resisting that change, think about the habits that you've done today. So I brush my teeth, I've had a shower, I put clean clothes on. Before I start helping you guys out, I need to take care of me, because I've got to hold a lot of energy to be able to be positive, to stay focused, to stay online, to do these talks with you. So in the morning, I do a mantra. I listen to the mantra, maybe put a candle on or some incense. I make myself some hot lemon with water to alkalize the body and do a detox of the liver. And then maybe 20 minutes later, I have a nice cup of Earl Grey or Lady Grey or chai tea, and then have my breakfast. And I choose to have a healthy breakfast. Now, morning, Susan, there's nothing wrong with, bacon and eggs. But it's what's right for you. But we all know the consequences of having bacon and eggs every day or McDonald's every day. But let's keep it in proportion. A little bit of what you fancy does you good. But you can't start every day on champagne and strawberries. Well, maybe you can. Everybody's different, I know Tony asked yesterday, this has got very, very weak tea. Tony asked me yesterday, what's in there, vodka? No, it's not vodka. Most of you know I don't drink. It would be funny if I did one of these when I was absolutely sazzled or hungover or drunk, wouldn't it? But anyway, we won't go there. I love humour. It's taken me so long to have a sense of humour. And certainly looking at the children as they've grown up and as I've got granddaughters, one of the most beneficial things I would like to think that I've taught them, besides morality and different things, is to have a sense of humour. Because if we don't have a sense of humour, what actually do we have? When we can't laugh at ourselves, I don't mean in a belittling sense, when we can laugh at ourselves in a genuine sense, when we can laugh at the people around us, at the situation we're in. Because there's been times in my life where probably the sense of humour has literally saved my life. When I've been able to laugh, when I've been able to smile, where I've been able to feel better. At least about one thing. Every one of us has bad days. Bad days make the good days even better. We have to have the polarity, we have to have the yin and the yang. It's just how it is. So, there will come a time where we may well be in self-containment, isolation, quarantine now, but there's going to come a time where we're out in the masses again, where we can go and have a meal with friends, where we can go and have a coffee, where we can sit in the park and, hopefully we can go to a music concert again and do all the things that we love. But goodness me, this has taught us appreciation for the things we've taken for granted. To be honest, when I went to India last year, the simple things that we take for granted in England, you know, being able to have a shower, being able to use the water and brush your teeth with, you can't do that. So straight away, the things I took for granted were taken away. I didn't have an automatic washing machine, but I'd learnt the joy of being able to wash my clothes by hand in the shower or in a bucket, and the joy of watching them dry on the washing line. And it's back to basics for now, for all of us, because we've been forced to rest. We've been forced, and hopefully people will take this time to reflect. One of the big things that I missed when I was away was connection. I mean, missing my granddaughters was really something. I remember the first conversation that I had when I spoke to Eve, and she said, "Grandma, when are you coming back?" And I was in tears, because it was like, I don't know. How do I tell a 5-year-old, as she was then, you know, how do I tell a 5-year-old that Grandma doesn't know when she's coming back? Grandma just needs to do this journey. It was a spiritual pilgrimage that my soul had screamed out for a long time. And I didn't listen at first, as many of us don't listen at first until we get another kick up the pants and another kick up the pants and another kick up the pants. So, you know, when I met Bapa Manku, my teacher in Bali, he said he'd waited for me for 5 years. Morning, Nina. Now, had I not been listening for 5 years, or was it just universal timing that, you know, it had to be that it was 5 years that Bapa Manku waited for me? He said many times that he couldn't do the earth healing until I got there. So it's interesting. You know, we can debate that all day. But what I want to say is that I missed the connection. Missing my granddaughters, and I mean I missed them every single day. Morning, Claire. That was so hard. I missed my parents. My parents are, you know, in their 70s, in their 80s. It was quite concerning. You know, my dad had had a hip replacement and different things. Morning, Cheryl. So I missed connection. You know, many of the people who did speak English in Bali, some of them spoke excellent English. Some of them, it was pidgin English. And obviously we get used to the slang and the colloquialisms. And I always remember meeting my friend Alison in Ubud. And because I was working predominantly with men, with Bapa Manku and others, you know, to have some female company was like, wow, this is great. We can have a hot chocolate and share cake, and I don't need to watch my language. I don't mean that I was swearing all the time, but I didn't need to, you know, kind of think, is she actually going to understand what I'm saying if I use slang or colloquialisms or things like that? And it was such a delight, you know. The amount of times I would dream about, you know, just giving my granddaughters a cuddle, or seeing my parents again, being with Julie, my best friend, being with Helen, you know, being with Ted, being with Tony, being with many of my best friends. And thank goodness for WhatsApp. I was so excited at the thought of eventually getting to New Zealand and going out for a meal, and the thought of Matthew and Phil and hopefully Rachel, you know, picking me up from the airport. And the joy that we had sharing, going to the movies, watching Yesterday. The joy that we had sharing Fat Badger's Pizza, for any of you that know New Zealand. And the simple things, and that's what this is all about. There is no separation now between rich, poor, east and west. The whole world is on its knees. So how can you make a difference to connect with someone today? Morning, Janine. Or how can you connect with yourself more today? One of the things about connection, and for me, I had a lot of time out last year. You know, I set off from England with a travelling companion, with Duncan, who was great. But inevitably, eventually we went our own separate ways. I'm still in touch with him. He's doing okay as far as I know. If you're on board, Duncan, you can send me a private message later. But, you know, having that connection, because he was there, he gave me the confidence to travel India, to get used to the culture, to get used to the, I don't know, India assaults every one of your senses. No discredit to India, but it's a noisy place. You get so many different smells. The heat is unbelievable at times. So, we need to take that connection to ourselves. I needed time on my own, sometimes to journal, to meditate, to just sit quietly. I was so lucky when we finally arrived in Pushkar and I could go on the roof. I could just look out over the rooftops, over the mountain, and just be. So that's my question to you today. When do you allow yourself to be? When do you feel that you're most connected? I know my son and his wife who are on here, they've got 3 little ones. Goodness me, you can't just say to the little ones, right, just shut up now, I'm just going to meditate for a minute because, the baby's crawling, she's walking around. I'm sure Rose probably puts pencils or crayons in her ears and goodness knows what they do. So it's not always easy to make time for ourselves, but we can do. And again, that's a choice. We can choose to get up 5 or 10 minutes, even 5 or 10 minutes. I'm not talking about sitting there for hours. You can if you want. I had a client once and he would spend many hours a day meditating. Well, unless you're Buddha, what's the point? Because you're not living. We've got to live in the real world. So think about how you can find a space every day to just be, even if it's just for 5 or 10 minutes. This is not a race. I'm not saying to any one of you that, right, you need to reach enlightenment now, you need to do this, you need to do that. That's not what I'm saying. Don't misunderstand, please, what I'm saying. Just take a minute to breathe. For those of you that may or may not be at work, I know many of you are essential workers at the moment, and thank you to you too. That's an absolutely amazing thing. In your lunch hour, just breathe. Go and sit away from everybody else for even 2 or 3 minutes to just be. One of the best things you can do is just close your eyes and just breathe. Just breathe down to your feet and back up, and just come out of the head and just come into the body. Just breathe down to the feet and back up. Just take your awareness to your toes, to the tips of your toes. Just wriggle your toes and just shake your body, and just give thanks to your physical body for all that it gives you, for all the breaths you take, for all of the lung expansion that goes on, for all the food that your body has digested, for all the things your eyes have allowed you to see and your ears have allowed you to hear. Just think of all the wonderful conversations you've had with people that you love. Think of all the wonderful conversations that you can choose to have with yourself if you choose to. Just imagine if you showed some loving kindness to yourself every single day. Because I know that all of you here, if you have children, I know you do that to the children. We're not always stressed out with children. We can be relaxed with them, we can colour with them, we can maybe make a jigsaw, we can listen to them reading a story. But how often are we actually present? Many of us have a lot more time on our hands now, so we can be more present with those that we love. So think about your conversations. Morning, Abby. Do people say to you, you don't listen to me, or you're a good listener? Now there's a duality there. Are you, being a good listener because you have the disease to please, because you want to be accepted? Or do you have wise barriers and boundaries? Morning, Jenny. Do people take your listening skills for granted? Do people talk over you? Do you talk over other people? Where do you listen more in your life? Do you listen to music every day? Do you listen to laughter? Everything that we experience in our life is what we put on our radar. What do we choose to put on our radar? So I'm going to leave you with those thoughts just for today. Think about your listening skills, what you want, where you can listen more. Be aware of who you are talking to. Be aware if you are being talked at. Be aware if you are talking at somebody and over somebody. All of us need to sharpen up our listening skills, me included. So I bid you farewell. Have a wonderful morning. Have a wonderful day. If it's nighttime where you are, I bid you sweet dreams. I'll aim to do the meditation this evening, maybe 6 p.m. English time or 7 p.m. Swiss time. If any of you have a preference, please private message me. And goodbye from me and hugs to all of you. And I bid you farewell. I send you my love. I send you loving kindness. I send you peace. And I send a great big to my granddaughters and to all of you. So thank you for being with me. It's lovely to receive the support from all of you. It makes such a difference. I don't know if any of you have done FaceTime, but what happens is, as somebody tunes in, it comes up and says, Jenny's watching or Abby's watching, and I have the opportunity to wave at you, but obviously that's going to kind of mean that I'm, moving to the phone all the time, which I don't want to do because it's going to distract the momentum and I'm just going to lose the thread. So please practice your listening skills this morning. Morning, Daphne. And please take care of you. Become your own best friend. Think of how you can make today better than it was yesterday. Think of how you can make somebody else's day better for them. But start with yourself first. Put your own oxygen mask on first. As I said, my day starts with a meditation, then I might do some journaling and write in there at least 10 things I'm grateful for. That's before I do anything else. I've already had my hot lemon and water. And when I'm ready, when I listen to my body, then I will have breakfast. And then maybe get on social media, let you guys know when I'm going to do the FaceTime live. Maybe intuit what I'm going to do. But please think about connection for today. Connection to yourself, connection to others. So here's sending you some love from a not very sunny Geneva today. It's very overcast and it's jolly, jolly cold. So have a beautiful day. I bid you farewell. Let's see how we can raise our vibration, have a better day for each and every one of us, and we can shine in our houses, shine in our community, shine in our county, in our country, and shine to the world. Enjoy your day. All the best.